works. My hope here, of course, is if I can reliably predict when the problems will come in, I can... Yep, there they are. I'm really thinking, I liked the Streamlabs OBS for a while because it simplified a couple of things that I was working with. But it also seems to be potentially contributing to some of the challenges that I've been having with regards to not getting my encoding options first time when I go live. So I'm going to have to play around with that a little bit. I hope you're all doing well, and I apologize for the later start. For those of you, I think next to the blog, Twitter is probably one of the lesser followed things that I do, and so I realize that there is a little bit of a problem in me announcing when there will be delays to broadcasts using that channel. I will also mention that it looks like Planetfall has opened up in the other window, so I will not be able to see anything you folks are writing for the next minute or so. I will adjust accordingly. I suspect you'll probably still be able to see the game, though. Anyways, today was a really, really hard day, and I didn't necessarily want to completely pack it in, but I did want to... All right, that's fascinating. So it's still showing up on monitor number 2. Let's just try resetting that. This happens every once in a while. I'm not sure why, but yeah. Anyways, so I'm somewhat aware of the challenge I face. There we go. That's working. I'm aware sort of the challenge that I face in terms of trying to get the word out about when there are delays. Like I said, I didn't want to pack it in because of a tough day, but I did also want to allow myself the minute to breathe. The Elder Scrolls episode tomorrow is going to be a bit shorter. I actually still need to encode and upload that, but I know last week there were some problems in terms of the bitrate and the drop frames while I was doing that during a broadcast, so I'm going to leave that be. And maybe actually, so again, for those of you who are watching on a VOD, or for those of you who don't get it, maybe you watch the Twitch streams sort of after the fact. But you normally like to catch me live. I'm sorry for doing all this stuff at the front, but I kind of know that it's really the only place to do it. If I do it halfway through the game, then the people who just want to see the game are going to wonder, like, is this going to go on forever? Whereas if I do the housekeeping at the front, it gives people a chance to sort of come into the channel and get everything done. So a few things are going to be happening which are hopefully changes for the better. So number one, for those of you who've been waiting for Cultist Simulator, I have been slowly amassing a number of episodes to release. Now, as is evident by the fact that I wanted to allow myself the option of not broadcasting today, I keep a pretty consistent Monday, Wednesday, Friday streaming schedule. Fridays, my start times definitely drift more often than not since the lockdowns have been happening. And while I give myself the opportunity to take the holidays off, I often do not find out about the holidays until sort of the day before, at which point I don't really feel right in not broadcasting. So I'm starting very slow with the YouTube stuff. Technically, the Morrowind episodes are something that's kind of YouTube-centric, but the thing is about those is that there's still sort of 3 or 4 hour episodes, and that's, of course, because I do them as vodcasts on Twitch as well. It's just if you want to see the really high-quality version of those videos that you can see them on YouTube. And as you might expect, the take-up on those videos is very low. I don't know how people find Morrowind playthrough videos like that. They're very long. Not a lot happens in some of the episodes. And if you want to find Morrowind stuff, like this game, it clearly is loved by everybody. So, I'm playing it for the first time. I can now see why people like that game so much. But the challenge is, of course, is that I don't really have a dedicated following on YouTube. with all due respect to those of you who do consistently watch on YouTube, I'm actually very grateful that you do, and it's the reason why I want to do more stuff. But I think it's fair to say that you will not watch anything that I do, is what I'm trying to say by that. So I am keeping on with it. I mean, I said I was going to do Morrowind, so I'm going to complete Morrowind. But it's hard to say that is like dedicated to YouTube, in the sense that YouTube has a very narrow audience for like 3-hour videos of people playing something like Morrowind. And so what I'm doing is I'm starting up the Cultist Simulator videos. They are about 20 minutes a piece. And like I said, to prevent burnout, I'm only going to be doing one a week. So I'm still going to be uploading these episodes. The majority of content on the YouTube channel is going to be VODs of streams. However, I am going to be putting up something that's specifically for Cultist Simulator fans, on YouTube. And over time, of course, they're going to stretch out to a full playthrough, and you can watch the playlist. It does, of course, mean that you're going to hear the, introducing myself and please, subscribe and hit the notification button a few more times than you maybe want to. I guess 3 times an hour. But I don't really have a good way of navigating around that. I will do my best as I learn that format. Those videos are starting today, so I think I am doing them on Wednesdays at 6 is when the uploads are. I mean, YouTube is such that you do not need to be there the second that starts, but that's probably the first big change. I have plans for other games. Again, what I've been doing is I've been looking at the games that seem to be getting unusual attention for what I do. Planetfall is one of those games I've noticed, so if you like Planetfall, make your voice be heard. You can say, what you like about it. It, by the way, can be you're the only person who does Planetfall. I am not under any illusions that, I am a small broadcaster with something of a niche audience. And, the other thing, too, is that I'm becoming a little bit aware of how you can grow on different platforms. So one of the big ways to grow on Twitch is sort of to be integrated in communities. And generally people sort of feed in. In fact, one of the big things is that if you want to get big on Twitch, one of the most reliable ways to do so is to befriend a larger broadcaster who then sort of becomes your, not even necessarily mentor, just so much as a feeder into your own content. And it's not a coincidence that this has led to a type of behavior where broadcasters will sort of be having these, these conversations, having these, going to these cons and whatnot, and specifically only talking to people as if they're someone who's going to advance their interests. It's a shame, but it's kind of reality. That's not all that happens, by the way, but that's one of the things that I find a little difficult. And the truth of the matter is, if anything, my connections along those lines have they've probably regressed more than that. I think I'm probably integrated in fewer communities. I'm more doing my own thing. And that doesn't necessarily mean that there's this violent rupture between them all the time, but things like moving across the country, people changing over time, people dropping out of Twitch. There's lots of factors that go into that. But I'm also sort of aware of the fact that there are a few things that would make YouTube more appealing. There are things about the structure of my videos that I can do to improve them and make them worth watching on that platform. Something that will have more people go through. I've been running some experiments, and I've actually noticed that there are some somewhat reliable ways to make the numbers go up, just in terms of small things that I do. And so, to a certain extent, I sort of feel that there is a more comprehensible path to growth through YouTube. Now, that doesn't mean that I abandon Twitch, and that doesn't mean that I abandon sort of the longer form podcast by way of video game thing that I'm doing here. But what I'm hoping is that I can sort of find my feet in both worlds, and that some of you who like the live chat broadcast will move into Twitch and follow. I've noticed there's quite a few people who've come in from YouTube videos who've been following. It's actually one of the things that's kept the Twitch channel from stagnating, which I'm quite grateful for, because obviously there's no guarantee that people keep sticking around for what you do, right? But on the other hand, for the people who maybe aren't as fond of the digressions, or people who want something maybe a little bit more bite-sized, they'll have some more opportunities to see some stuff in YouTube. And what I'm considering right now as far as YouTube is concerned, I want to grow that in the sense of establish a foundation on which I can build if people express a preference for that. So as always, when I say growth, I mean growth. It means I am doing more things related to content creation. I think the only thing I can really say that people have lost is the fact that I don't have a dedicated Cultist Simulator stream anymore. And right now that's been Mass Effect 3, but there will be other games. There will also specifically be smaller games that get covered there. And of course, Mondays we're doing for Age of Wonders Planetfall. So I'm past 10 minutes. Let's jump into the video. Now this, as far as I can tell, was where I left my Amazon playthrough last time. And I will admit, I do not remember a lot about this mission. So what I wanted to do, and again, if I didn't have broadcast stuff to be talking about, I would have been talking about this playthrough. So I'm going to try and be somewhat brief, but not completely do violence to my my intentions or my plans as far as this playthrough is concerned. So first of all, we've got the Matriarch's Trial. Mahina Wateka, you can win this map by stopping Barain's lackey and discovering where your old mentor went after leaving Thanakiwa. So we need to stop the infected Kiriko all the way over here, it looks like. Nope, I was wrong. That is a different quest. Okay, so we don't actually know where... Oh, well, here they are. I guess that's why I have all these units near the north. I'll have to work this out. So, actually, I wonder if...
Operations primed and ready.
Yeah, actually, here, let's do this. Find Barain, search for Barain. Oh, no, it doesn't tell me the... All right, never mind. It doesn't actually let me say all the story stuff. Fair enough. So one of the things that happened here is while I was doing this mission, the new DLC came out, Invasions, and I was obviously given an opportunity to broadcast that. It is worth saying, of course, that Age of Wonders Planetfall, Age of Wonders Planetfall Revelations, and Age of Wonders Planetfall Invasions, so that's the base game plus the 2 DLC, were given to me by Paradox in order to, for promotional purposes. So obviously thank you to them for that, but also if you're making some purchase decisions, do keep in mind that I do have sort of an interest in the fact that I was given a free copy of it, or a press copy. Free copy kind of sounds like if you set up a channel, you get free games. Suffice to say, if you work a minimum wage job for an equivalent number of hours, not only will you be able to buy the game, but you'll actually have some money in your pocket to show after it. I pay money to stream now. Wasn't always the case, but it is now. But needless to say, I'm grateful for it, but it's up to you guys to decide whether or not that is going to be coloring my perceptions of a given game. And in particular, for me, one of the challenges I run into is I actually just really like a lot of the games that I play. And I know that for some people, it's, that they might be a little bit more critical of some of the things that they play. And I'm very conscious of that. I never want to put people in a situation where they may be, where they wind up spending money on something that they don't enjoy. All right, so there's no possible way that I'm going to get there on time. I could buy a bunch of growth units. No, I've only got 149. I think the fact of the matter is I'm gonna fail this mission. That's... The sooner I accept that, the sooner I will find enlightenment. Yeah, I mean, one of the funny things is long-term viewers of the channel know that there, at least as far as Crusader Kings 3 is concerned, there's been a bit of a rift, and I don't know if that signals things happening in the future. So if anything, it actually biases me against the company, but I don't think that's the right way of thinking about that. I'm grateful for the keys that I've been given. If they want to go a different direction with their coverage, you know, I'm not in a position to complain. Suffice to say, this stuff should be disclosed, and however, whatever you want to make of the relationship, I leave that to your good sense. So one of the things that I was trying with the Amazon on this playthrough was realizing that. So one of the strategies I've tried to employ in Planetfall has been to take advantage of lots of early investment in growth, get my cities nice and big, and take over a lot of territory, and then switch that towards production. Now, one of the things that I've sort of realized about my regions is that, particularly for the Amazon, is that the Amazon basically eat the stuff that they kill. And so I have a feeling that this dino that I was making was destined for this stack. Oh boy. Hey, Lord Sloth, how you doing? So, basically, one of the strategies I employed with these Amazon was to go out and conquer as many sort of marauder camps as I could in order to be able to get those that free growth as a result. Now, one of the things I'm a little conscious about is just the I mean, clearly this has succeeded beyond my wildest imaginations. I think we've got our 4 sectors for pretty much everyone. Rondafil is a new colony, so I'm not exactly expecting that to be at full growth yet. However, everybody's sort of on share half, as far as they should be on share half, as far as their food production is concerned. This should have take, yeah. So we're in a decent enough position. I would, of course, love to integrate the dwelling here, seeing as it's a source of cosmite. But the thing is that clearly the growth side of the equation has been handled. You might make an argument that I have too many growth specializations. This is partly a function of just all the different areas I find myself in. I think maybe there's an argument for Ras Flyan that maybe I convert a few of these sectors when the time comes. But overall, what I need to be focusing on now is making the biggest, baddest army that I can and completing the mission objective, which is to take out the infected Kirko. Now, this, of course, requires me to know where all my armies are. And it looks like... Oh, no, we are in the right spot. But it does also say unidentified forces. So one of the things I want to be doing here is making sure that I've got these little trios of units that are... they need to be positioning themselves in ways that are actually going to keep me protected. The fact that there are 4 over here makes me think actually that this invasion force may not be enough. It's possible actually that I've tried this before and that I'm reloading from an old save. But again, like I said, this is one that I haven't played since Invasions came out, so I'll need to figure out where it's going. Anyways, so we're keeping everybody put just in case they try to do the ambush. I mean, in the end, I'm going to try and slice up as much as I can. I suppose there is a question as to whether or not I want to try and take over these territories or raise them. If these are enemy forces, and these are enemy forces, it's pretty clear that they have more... more strength than I do. And of course, part of part of the hope is that I'm able to learn some of the lessons from when the AI was clobbering me with the Amazon, although I don't have as many archers, so... but there's not a whole lot that I can do right now. So let's just think. I could do... Hey, Olaf, thank you very much for the host. And happy post-birthday. I noticed that during your birthday presentation, it was a game that you didn't necessarily enjoy for part of it, so I felt a little bad about that. But I hope you're feeling all right one way or the other. And I am obviously always happy to see you, so... just want to get a read on the economy. Okay, so forest gives me production in woods versus fertile plains, which are production in science. So the big trouble about these ones are that, you know, production's really good. But the question is, do I want to give up the other benefits? Like, I feel like science and energy is probably a higher priority for me. Well, that's not entirely true. I still want to be creating armies. I think I will leave it be for now. Oh, yeah, forest, fungal, Arcadian forest. All of these seem to be... I'm actually a little curious about the biome here. Yeah, so I mean, I guess the biggest problem it comes down to is how highly do I rate production relative to any of the other resources that I have, and it's like I do value production, but maybe not as much as I'm going to once I get... Like, I have a feeling most of the infrastructure for these bases are going to be finished, so let's leave that be for now. I'm just taking a look to see if there's anything I can do with my strategic points. There might be an argument for me trying to put down a few more detectors just to get an idea of enemy troop movements. But those do cost money. It's 5 a turn. I've already got 2 down. Yes, I will leave... I think I'm going to leave my hands off this for the next little while. Anyways, sorry, that was really negative. I hope you had a good birthday. I hope the fact that you didn't get to... that there was something that wasn't your cup of tea for part of the experience did not make that any less of a birthday. And I'm very happy to see you and hope you are doing well in general. All right. I'm just trying to think of the right way to... This is going to be a big fight right off the bat. And I don't think I'm going to be able to bring everyone I want in on it. So I suppose the question is, do I want to switch anyone out? These guys need some healing. And I should have saved before I tried this, because I could get really hurt doing this. You know what? Let's just live with the consequences and say... I'm going to try... So the reason I'm moving her up is... it's the least likely to leave me with a really obvious vulnerability in the group. So, for the sake of argument, we'll enable tactical operations. I kind of want to see what the butcher's bill on that is. That's not too bad. like, I don't think I'm going to pull this off. But I'm not going to learn if I don't use these armies. So. Oh, you know what? I would have replaced the bees. Oh no, those are their bees. Sorry, I haven't had much dinner, so I have it sitting beside me. I know that's like a terrible thing to do on stream. Let me know if it gets too distracting or unfortunate. But I am going to get really cranky if I don't have something to eat, so... And I'm cranky enough as it is. Alright, so there's going to be some really interesting... There's definitely going to be some interesting engagements here. So there's a side of me that wants to take this group and go straight for this unit and sort of take it out. Problem is that they can get swamped by these guys. So it becomes a little bit of a race. I'm just trying to think about which of these are the... I guess this is the most certain as far as movement is concerned. So I don't think these guys have much as far as range is concerned. But then I also don't exactly want to have them... Like, I don't exactly want to keep these guys in reserve. Because if I do that, then they just get swamped by this group. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I am going to keep them out of range of the physical attacks of the Kiriko. Now, that still means that I'm susceptible to being gooped. But like what I want to do is like keep my Paragon sort of in this little area over here. Actually, you know what? I know it doesn't give me the defensive move, but it does let me cover more ground. And I think it'll be a similar story with things like the Swift Beak and whatnot. I kind of value moving these guys in to consolidate a little bit more than getting some early attacks. If I had more ranged units, I might reconsider. But it seems to me that I don't really have a lot of options as far as that goes. That does kind of imply that I'm committing these units to sort of a forward engagement like this, which leaves them susceptible to flanks from over here. I am of two minds about that, because it would be nice to get some stuns in on the Transcendence. The question for me is, how do I think I'm going to accomplish that? Well, sorry, I should be more precise. How I'm going to accomplish that without sacrificing the units. So again, let's focus on the units that I think are going to be contributing. Right now what I'm trying to do here is just pick a set of moves that are not particularly committal to any one approach. So if the circumstances change, I want to be able to sort of spin these guys around and do something else. And part of that's just going to be the dare that I give them. So these units have some pretty clear objectives. These guys are basically going to push forward. And as far as the units are concerned, this is a pretty weak front for them. What I suspect these guys are going to be doing is trying to hold this group off as long as possible. In fact, if I was thinking about it, knowing that there are Transcendents in that group, I might have even tried to get more of the Huntresses into a position where they could use their blinding arrows on the Transcendents, but that's a little too late to consider that. So if I was faced against a force like this trio here would be dedicated to delaying this force as long as possible, because of course as soon as these guys show up in the back, there's a ton of flanks, and basically this just gets rolled up, and we get to munch on these. This is a bit more of a strong force, but of course we've got the Vorderon ready to go. Plus some reasonably good ranged units. So I'm probably gonna... I mean, they're physical, right? So they do kind of need to chase me. That's a consideration for another time. Again, I really should be focusing on what I think is the priority. So Maraka the Entangler. Okay, she does get a chance to throw things at the enemy. Now, it does put her into a physical... All right. I'm actually okay with her being threatened a little bit. And that's just because she has an ability to heal when she does a certain attack. So, I think I said it was pretty clear that these guys were going to be moving forward. So let's see. Sadly, I don't have any fancy explosions to bring down on the bad guys, so we'll just try and cover as much ground as we can with the Shrike. I'm not going to go for the full move because I suspect these guys are going to resist. And there is something to be said for ignoring cover. Clearly, I'm... any attacks that happened here are going to be physical attacks, so... The AI doesn't really seem to use destructible terrain that much, so... Okay, so 20% against... Okay, this can apply Soul Burn, which gives it a high priority. And there's an armor bypass. I think I'm going to try and put the Soul Burn on... Well, this does more damage. It's a lower chance, but... Damn. Alright, so Biomancer, unless I have a unit that needs a heal, which is over on this side. Well, let's see if I can get away with it. So once per battle, which I'm not crazy about. Alright, we'll leave that be then. So the rest of this is just going to be seeing whether or not I can drop some nastiness on the bad guys. Looks like I can't, so they're going to focus in on my hero, which is fine, because my hero can handle it. Again, we're ignoring cover. So this is a really bad habit for me, which is the... I keep knowing that there's going to be physical... So I put a very high value on trying to take cover when I'm going up against melee-focused targets, and I almost never consider the spacing of units in relation to one another. This has burned me so many times in terms of area of effect attacks. So it doesn't excite me that I'm leaving this this mounted unit a little bit behind, but I don't want these folks to wind up gooped. And the really tough call for me on the Biomancers, the Biomancer is there's some pretty powerful abilities here. It's debatable as to whether or not this is the unit I want to be doing the heal on as opposed to keeping that in reserve. I believe this is the only Biomancer I have in the entire army. So there's a decided difference between, this is the only heal you get for the whole combat, and this is a heal that this unit can only do once. I think, again, it doesn't hurt to have these kinds of units in reserve anyway. I'm going to give myself the option. Alright, so I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I want to do with these guys. All of this is moved the way that I want, so I suppose I need to make some commitments as to how I'm handling this next group. Oh, I was wrong. We do have a second Biomancer. Okay. this Huntress is potentially at risk when it comes to an attack from this side. Now again, the real hope is that she's going to be able to use that flash arrow on at least one of the Transcendent. So I'll keep her in the area. The big question here, of course, is do I want to commit these bees to trying to do some kind of a counter to these units? Or do I want to move them ahead and sort of deal with these particular threats? So, for instance, if I move them up here, it's very clear that there's going to be a flanking counterattack from the spitters. From the soldier bees. The thing is that with the Transcendent, I'm not entirely sure that these guys can win that engagement. Okay, actually, this gives me some ideas. So, I mean, again, this is going entirely to the Transcendent, and it's most likely going to heal. So this weirds me out a little bit because I'm pretty sure I get overwatched if I move there. So again, my fears about the counterattack haven't changed. Yeah, that really sucks. So the game didn't give me any information that I would be subject to an overwatch on that particular tile. I would not have made that move had I known that information at the time. Now what I did not realize was that this... So why does this give a stagger? Because that definitely happened to that guy. Unfortunately, I don't have any healing units. Does she have a heal? No. She has a war cry, which I probably should have given them ahead of time. I'm not sure if I want to... I've spent so much time thinking about this stuff that I don't know if I really want to reset the combat, but I will be honest with you, I am kind of annoyed by... I'm kind of annoyed by how that turned out. I guess I can use the biome... Do I really want to do that on a worker bee, though? Revealed preferences. Okay, so I'm actually kind of ignoring the force on this end, but I'm trusting these guys to cover their side of the bargain. Can't be avoided anymore. How do I want to deal with the northern side? You know what? I'm going to dare them to come after me, so we're going to close as much distance as we can. I am amazed that that thing can actually get covered. We're going to make them work to come and save their friends, and we're going to try and hit them as hard as they possibly can to stop the fight. Now, these guys I'm okay clustering up a little bit because I know that they're not going to be immediately affected by... they're not immediately going to be affected by any kinds of area of effect attacks. Now, they're not making a ton of progress, but again, the idea here is that we just have an overwhelming force that comes right up the middle. Now, if I'm feeling really bold, I can leave my hero to face this entire force on their own, but I think that's a little too much to add. I mean, heroes are strong, but they're not that strong. Yeah, so probably a little more positioning than what I necessarily wanted to start off with, but let's see. I might as well get it out of the way. Alright, I don't know how I missed the gap there, but... I mean, it wasted their hero's turn. Again, this I'm completely fine with because the Vorderon exists to wreck things. The question is, what can I do about the rest of it? Okay, that's good on the Transcendent because I'm going to be able to use the blind. There is going to be a question about how I extract that soldier bee. They might have to make a noble sacrifice. And again, like, this whole strategy relies on me...
Operations ready.
Not having to, like, so basically I'm assuming that this will be dealt with in time. If it's not, then I am in a world of hurt. Right. I mean, I can just try to devour it. Beauty.
Enemy annihilated.
I should also be looking at what are the... So I think it's probably... It looks like it's... Yeah, the Frenzied are the most populous. So before I go too much further, let's get a scan in on the bad guys. Okay. I think the best way for me to handle this unit is to... Oof. I really don't like having to use 2 units to take this thing out, but... So what I'm trying to do here is just find a way of moving my units so that I can kind of get the maximum value of their actions while covering as much ground as possible. Like, we're going to wind up caught by these guys pretty quick if I'm not careful on my positioning.
Enemy down.
All right. So of course the idea here is going to be to try and push these units as forward as much as I can. Oh, crap. I should have been a little more careful. Okay. So this unit's going to be dedicated to doing as much damage as possible to this guy. Now, she's in a little bit of danger depending on how aggressive they move. They move on this side, but I'm going to have to... Again, I have to make some decisions, right? So... It's a nice flanking bonus. The big question out of a lot of these is always, you know, I clearly want to take someone out. The question is, like, what am I giving up in order to be able to accomplish that move? So, for instance, here... I'd ideally like to move her as far forward as I can. Alright, here's an interesting one. So this will still be one of my most forward Amazon units. So I get the flanking bonus. What's also nice is that this guy turns around, so one of the people who's going to be bringing up the rear will still get a good shot. Although she might have just blocked my hero. So again, the idea here is trying to be as efficient as possible in terms of dividing between movement as well as offense. Now, I don't have high hopes, but if I can get some soul burn on some people, so much the better. And I don't think it really hurts that I've got two heroes sort of facing down this stronger force. Okay, so these guys, I think I'm just going to move them pretty aggressively forward. Again, I'm showing my backs and sides quite a bit to a potentially deadly force, but right now I want to see if we can try and help out our comrades in this arena. I'm not quite ready to make decisions with you yet. Okay. And then I suppose the big question is, do I feel that I'm going to need more help against these forces, or am I going to need to sort of come in as hard as I can with these guys? So this is my limit about as far as I want to go. I'm going to split the difference a little bit. So they can't get me from there. I'm definitely going to face them forward. And it gives me I kind of get the option when the time comes. Okay. I probably should have moved her up a little bit, but I do want to take these things out and quick. Okay, I don't get a flanking bonus one way or the other, so let's focus on the weakened target. Now again, big decisions to make in terms of who I want to focus down for the next little bit. So first things first, Claw Strike lets me cover some distance while taking out a unit, so the rest of basically the rest of my forces are now going to be able to pick them apart. Knowing what I know now, so I'll move the Paragon in. The Paragon's going to hopefully earn me a flank. So, I actually think I'm going to take advantage... Oh, looks like I don't get a flank after all. There we go. So given the fact that I do get the advantage of a flank, so it's a difference of sort of 2 hexes here. I'm not going to worry too much about, so I could do one shot and get those 2 extra hexes, but it's pretty clear that we've got something I need to take out here. I could actually potentially take out the enemy standing still, but that doesn't help me for my other objective, which is to try and get people involved in the fight as quickly as possible. So, although in retrospect it might have been a little bit smarter for me to start with her, just to be able to, just to be able to get the armor down a little bit, but it's too late for that now. So I suppose the question is, do I want to dedicate another unit to take this out? I don't think so, because I've got too many physical units that aren't going to be involved in the next fight. Whatever this guy does, he basically winds up dying. So I basically need to sort of figure out what I'm prioritizing with these folks. So first things first, how many Transcendence can I inconvenience? I do need to take these guys out pretty quickly if I'm gonna... Alright, actually this is a physical-oriented unit, so... I'm gonna go straight in with the grenade. This puts her in a dangerous spot, but... lets me take out the healer, which is my highest priority right now. So, I suppose the next question is, can I do any damage to the healer otherwise? Without... see, if I do that, I'm potentially opening some area of effects. But in this case, I think it's worth it. So the reason I want to do this is that this is a very minor
enemy
attack.
annihilated.
So I mean, again, I'm opening a Biomancer up to the Xenoplague units. I'm opening it up. I mean, this one's blinded, so this isn't as much of a worry. The Transcendent might be causing me some problems. Lots of different people to bring me misery. But one of the things I don't want to have happen is have my have these soldier bees, like, just barely take out these soldier bees and all of a sudden find out my good work has been undone with the worker bees. So we're going to stand and deliver. I am actually going to move this unit up by 1. We'll stand and deliver with the laser repeater. I don't think it'll be enough, even with the crit, I don't think it'll be enough to take them out. But what I do want to see... No, this is the last unit, so if I move away, I think they get an attack of opportunity. So I will sting and at least get a little bit of the life back.
Enemy annihilated.
So again, this unit's still in a little bit of a tough spot. But let's take a look at what we accomplished here. So we know that this unit's basically neutered, right? There's no way that it's going to be able to put a stun on these two. My Soldier Bee is definitely in a little bit of trouble. This unit isn't blinded, so it's going to be able to do some reasonable damage with the Psy Strike. This guy has got... oh, actually, this is going to be a really tough one. This is almost certainly how he's going to take out the Worker Bee. Mind you, that does protect me from the other ones. So the units that are in quite a bit of risk right now are my leader. I might be a bit soft on this flank here. I'm not 100% sure. But we've had so much success in all of the other areas that it wouldn't hurt for me to just kind of turn these around and deal with this force right away. It does, of course, have my big leader and, of course, the Vorteron. I mean, the Vorteron can just run in and wreck everything if it really comes down to it. So I've probably overcommitted to this side of the map, but until the Transcendents are down, I should probably be a bit more careful. Let's also take a quick second. So I don't know why I'm putting so much emphasis on this Soldier Bee, but let's see if we can do something. Yes. It would have been nice if I had more things for this to jump around, but this isn't a terrible use. Oh, interesting. Again, the flank's not great, but it's definitely better than what I thought.
Enemy killed.
He's gonna... No, he's not. I could have sworn that the cooldown reset would have been for the... I could have sworn that cooldown reset would have been for the Share the Pain. So I'm starting to learn a little bit about some of the ways that they can deal with the effects of the arrows. Sort of as predicted, having 2 leaders on the Vanguard has definitely been helping. So the neat thing about Soulburn, at least the way that the AI is treating it, is it looks like it effectively neutralizes one of the other units. So it takes one unit to... one unit takes the hit, and then the other unit heals it. So I think I'm going to start with... So the fact it's a 65 makes me feel a little bad, but I really want to kill this thing, seeing as it can inflict the plague. Alright, well this goes without saying. So there's a big temptation to just drop a fire grenade here. Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to have a better opportunity. She's exactly where I want her, so I'm not too worried about that. I am going to need something to deal with the spores. I don't think I can afford to just ignore them. But if there was ever a time for blinding, it's here. Although I should take advantage of positioning if I can. So they're going to have some area of effect attacks ready to make me sad. She might actually be exactly where she needs to be right now. Okay, I'm gonna table that for a minute. I'm actually, you know what, I'm gonna think about the area with a little bit more obvious, some more obvious decisions to make. So, Transcendent is public enemy number 1. I am shocked that he's taking that little damage. Why is he so strong compared to the other guy? Huh. Okay, well his cooldowns are fixed, so... Against my better judgment. Oh, that's a 50% chance. Ooh, this is not looking good. I could sleep one of them if I was really worried. Yeah. It does mean that I sort of wasted the... It does mean that I sort of wasted the attack from this unit, which could have been used on one of the other ones. But I think I'm going to take out the more obvious threats as a start. How much you want to bet that if I did these guys first, the reduction in shields would have been enough to take it out? Okay, so that's a little unlucky for me because I was hoping to do damage to more than one target. Looks like I only have one left in reserve. So, let's see. Yeah, bringing anyone else into play doesn't help me right now. They're too far away. That's a pity. So given that they do have heals on the deck, it seems pretty clear to me that I need to take this thing out. Ah, actually, no, that did an important thing for me. So I could do the 20% regen. Yeah, actually, this is a neat idea here. So I'm going to move her around. I originally would have wanted to use her as a physical character, but in this case, I'm going to take the extra heal. So these are not too threatening to a lot of my units right now. If you just take a look. So maybe if they all focus fire one of these units, there's going to be a problem, but... So with that in mind, I'm going to move pretty aggressively with the remaining units. Range is a pretty high priority right now. Although, come to think of it, am I really going to be able to get units in for this melee in time? I think I'll move these guys aggressively just to provoke some responses. But this is mostly just trying to create a target-rich environment for them as opposed to any particular strategy. God, this is a really tough call with these Paragon. It's going to take them two turns to get into the melee. But I bet that once they're there, they're going to be pretty helpful in locking stuff down. Now, I should be reinforcing this side. That fight's not over yet, so... This unit, on the other hand, I am going to move in closer. The Beetle Baby is another big question. So, Beetle Baby doesn't exactly have the range that I would want to... Well, so they are a ranged unit. This is such a coward's move, but I'm going to go right up the middle, so that way if I need the extra pop, I still have this spit, and if these guys handle that side of the fight, I don't need to worry about it. This unit I need involved in this fight as early as possible. And I think it's very fair to say that sort of this is in hand, so... looks like I do get a fancy strike. So that was unexpected,
Enemy
but very
annihilated.
welcome. I suspect I will not be so lucky for any of the others. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually just going to move the Shrike up the center. So if they dedicate units to hitting this guy, I'll be very surprised. I'm just trying to think. So they're going to be my contingency against the Parasite if it comes down to it. Right, okay, so now I need to make some decisions in terms of how I'm handling these units. So like this is the perfect spot. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do. So sadly I don't have 3 sets of Huntresses. If I did, oh, hang on. All right, I'm going for the hero moment here, but this is gonna be awesome if it turns out. Okay, looks like there was a bunch of staggers. Okay, looking good. So I'm ignoring the Parasite, but obviously this unit is in a world of hurt if this doesn't work out, but... Yes! Alright, so if we take a look at the actions for these units, they are dead in the water next turn. So what we accomplished with that is basically being able to... this is the thing that I struggled so much with when I was up against the Amazon. So again, it's not without cost. The question here is, do I want the enemy to have the option of doing whatever it wants with 4 reasonably strong melee units that are coming in on my ranged? Or do I want to allow that pustule to do whatever it wants? I probably could have killed it with enough attention. But clearly one of these is more aligned with my long-term goals, let's say. So the rest of the... Actually, you know what? This will be hilarious if I can get a... Like, this is the sort of stuff that makes me rage when I go up against the Amazon, but... Okay. It's slowed. I mean, it'll still take that character out, but... But yeah, so now I don't need to worry about the clustering or anything like that, right? I basically get a free turn to do whatever I want to these guys. Oh, I didn't even think that I'd have these units in reserve. So this is the beauty of this, right? I don't have to worry about retaliation, so I can move them right up the middle. And the enemy's just going to have to sit there and take it. Makes me feel like I should have got more aggressive with some of my other moves. Alright, so again, we're not out of the woods. there will be some retaliation on this side against some potentially flanked units, but overall we're looking pretty good. Oh, I didn't even think that. So that Transcendent might drop another... Nope. Okay, so that's a little bit more firepower than I thought they were going to have. Oh, no. No,
Unit
my
down.
bees. I mean, at this point, clearly, it's in my interest to... So I think we'll focus on the Transcendent first. It's probably the clearest threat. Alright, so the real hope was to be able to just run a Swift Beacon here to... but yeah, the opportunity's too good with that. Yeah, you know what? So technically he's flanked, but good luck to these guys moving anywhere. Ouch. Looks like I don't really have any good angles on these guys. So I'll move them up like this. This will still probably be going on. Yeah, it's probably a little open for the shield charge to work. Again, my little beetle friend is probably not going to arrive in time, but I'm actually feeling a lot more confident on this front rather than this one now. I am really sorry that we missed out, that we lost those bees, but that's not, I mean, let's be honest, that's not the worst possible outcome. Given the fact that we're taking on a stack of 4 other units, the fact that I'm losing 1 and they're about to lose everything, I'd say that is a fairly good return on investment. Who the hell has Overwatch in this group? Oh, they all do. Okay. I really should be taking advantage of the flanks when I can. Now this really makes me sad. Not being able to have this thing in the fight right away. It's a 2 hex radius, so it's not... I don't really think... I mean, I guess it's better than defending. It's a little self-congratulation. Oh! I didn't think that would work. Target ground, shackle it with Dark Vine that traps their mind. Gives me something to think about. Alright. Again, the aim here is to try and... I'm trying to be as efficient with my movements as I can. So for instance, this is a pretty high priority because of the flank. Knowing that I have other people who will be able to take out the destroyer. Plus, as Entangled, cannot move but can still perform action. So they probably still have a ranged attack that they can do on me. So the smarter move, of course, is to get the... If I didn't have a flank, I would have prioritized the guy in the middle because of the... because of the, you know, the swarm protection. Let's hope.
Enemy down.
Good. So again, I want to be thoughtful about how I'm moving people. That's not a very high chance of success, but I'm going to go for it because it'll be a really good position after the fact. Good.
Enemy eliminated.
So all the swarm shields are gone, which means I get to sort of focus down everybody else. So with that in mind, I'm going to try and wind up in some better positions to deal with the bad guys. In fact, the parasite might be the last thing I take out. Sadly, I can't eat it. I think this is the higher priority right now.
Enemy annihilated.
I think this is pretty obvious. I don't really have anybody else to target in. And again, part of this is about positioning, just thinking about moving the units that are probably going to be forced to take out these guys. My Vorteron has an obvious move now. Now, it'd be nice if I could do some kind of a stagger or something like that. I don't know if pustules panic, but at this point, it's probably better for me just to take advantage of my my overwhelming strength. So who else do I have left? Okay, so clearly I need to... So as much as I'd love to have sort of 3 shots... Actually, you know what? I bet I can have both. So I can get 3 shots with her and still move this unit in. They're not great shots, but... Alright. Again, not my attack of choice, but...
Enemy eliminated.
Okay, so obviously I overcommitted in terms of forces for dealing with that little melee. Then again, I didn't think that I'd have this big stack of units over here. This was great. So the rest of this is really about, you know, getting people as close to the fight as possible. Okay, good. I was scared I was going to lose that unit. So I suppose the question is, do I want to get the coup de grace here, or see if the Biomancer can do something about it?
Enemy eliminated.
Okay, let's see if I can get a flank from... So the Swift Beak should get the flank on the other one. Also, I know this is going to be... this is not necessarily the best use of finances, but I would like to have my units in a slightly stronger position health-wise.
Victory is ours.
And I'll admit, I'm actually very fond of the soldier bees, but this isn't the worst possible outcome for the simple reason that I now have a home for that destroyer unit. Ah, but it looks like I failed to account for these folks. This is a slightly weaker group. These guys are probably going to run away, but yeah, overall, I feel pretty good about. Where we wound up with that. Also, 28th. One, I am kind of locking in those gains, but number 2, I really don't want to have to search for all of that again. So, if you guys don't mind, I seem to have hit a bit of an ebb in terms of the. In terms of the concurrent viewership. I hope you got, like, I put a lot of time into that, but I liked that because I feel like I had a fairly clear idea about what the capabilities of the units were relative to the situation, and I feel like with the exception of that first B move where I got hit by the Overwatch, I think generally things worked roughly in line with how I expected them, which is probably an indication that I'm understanding this game better. I am, however, going to enjoy a couple of mouthfuls, and I hope it is not too offensive to you. It's just leftovers, but I have some leafy greens on it. And I do so like my vegetables.
Perpetual motion machines are our business. Though now that I think about it, if we did invent such a thing, we'd be out of business. Dylan Allard, CEO of Forward Energy Solutions.
Sorry, Mad King Brutus. That's wonderful to hear. I'm sorry I haven't reached out about... Sorry, let me just properly swallow what I've got. I'm sorry I've not gotten back to you about Mass Effect. Today was a hard day, so I have a lot of catch-up that I need to do, work-wise and personal stuff-wise. But I'm really happy to hear. It seems like your recovery is going very well and very quickly, and that makes me happy. I mean, so it's nice to... I was going to say, it's obviously nice to say stuff like that to... Yeah, okay. Here's going to be one of these moments where, again, because the concurrent viewers are low, I get to get away with this. There's every incentive in the world for me to say, oh, my best friend, Mad King Brutus, man, you with the leg thing, right? I hope you're doing well. And it's hard, right? Because I don't know any of you guys. But I'm happy to see you folks in the channel, and abstractly, you tend to want to wish the best for people. At least I do, you know. I would prefer there to be more happiness in the world than less. But you don't necessarily appreciate the nuances, let's say, of the circumstances people find themselves in. And having had to jump through a bunch of customer service hoops where, you know, like I've been on the other side of that call. I've been the person who has to deal with the impossible situation that the business has put things into. But being in a situation where it is so very clear that there is a mistake that has happened, and you know, not really being able to do it, you kind of wind up feeling like just an entity, not a person, like you're just some like data point on a spreadsheet somewhere. And when it comes to health stuff, it's one of the reasons why I try to be, you know, very thumbs up, very rah about the you know, people's health stuff, because like I'm never gonna really have a frame of reference for that sort of experience myself. I hope, at least. But I know for people, like, health stuff can really mean the difference between like their life kind of turning out the way that they wanted or not. And so I suspect I'm a little bit more attentive to individual things like that, just because, you know, I guess I sort of put myself in my own shoes. Like, how do I want people to feel about the times when bad things are happening to me? And even when it's like super minor stuff, it's like, again, I'll admit, I felt really bad about the Crusader Kings 3. I never like assuming that I'm going to get a key. But it's the one where out of all of the games, like, I did Crusader Kings for probably like, I don't know how many years. It's a long time. It's like one of the first things I ever streamed. Now, in the grand scheme of things, who cares, right? A streamer on Twitch didn't get a key for a game. Like, nobody should be getting really upset about that. Individually to me, though, like, it happened to be a continuation of a number of sort of personal things that wound up happening that sort of led to a feeling of just generally being kind of taken for granted and maybe underappreciated, for lack of a better term. Sorry to make this all about me, but and so the challenge here, right, is that I don't expect there to be some candlelight vigil outside of Paradox in order, for me to get the key. That's not really the end of it. The problem with it is the idea of sending out multiple contacts or multiple, efforts to reach out to explain the situation and not really being heard or otherwise being ignored. There's a couple of other contexts, but like I said, I didn't want to make it about me. So there, I feel that way about something very minor. And again, I have the overall perspective, so I'm fine, right? I will be able to get through life without playing Crusader Kings 3 on stream. I'd feel genuinely bad about that because Paradox is a big company. I happen to know that there's a couple of people who work on the games who follow the channel. It makes me feel bad that I keep referencing this stuff, but I don't think they participate in chat, but I do get the indication that there's a couple of people who watch the channel semi-regularly, who work inside there. I think so. The big thing about that is one hand doesn't necessarily know what the other's doing. I know that's not the saying. What I'm trying to do though is that if I feel this way about minor things in my life, so what are the things that would have, here's an example that would have made that better that doesn't change any of the other details. If I'd gotten a reply to that email that says, thank you for reaching out, and I notice you've reached out a couple of times. This is, Paradox has moved on. This is a bigger release and a bigger game, and we hope you understand that means that we have higher expectations in terms of what what kind of broadcasters we give that key to. That would have acknowledged the time, and that would have, meant the difference. And that would have meant a lot to me. I would have felt bad about it still, but it would have at least there would have been an acknowledgement of the prior time spent. So when I consider something as minor as that, and the very minor thing that would have made me feel better, when it comes to major things like health stuff, I kind of want to acknowledge it. So all of this is a really terrible digression, a really long way of me saying that. I know it is the easiest thing in the world to send words to a person over the internet saying, "Oh, I hope you go well," right? I give nothing up to do that. I guess technically now I'm giving up time on the broadcast. But with that in mind, I hope you feel better, Mad King Brutos, and specifically, I appreciate the fact that you have taken the time to still come out and check out the channel when I don't think anybody would have blamed you for doing something otherwise. That's probably what I was trying to say, and I was struggling to find the words. Again, like I said, I probably made that too much about me. That wasn't the intention, but that is kind of the outcome. I am genuinely split as to where I want to go here. So intelligence gathering doesn't give me a whole lot on its own, but it does give me espionage, which will allow me to boost my research and my energy credits against an enemy. I did also say that research, development, in fact, all of these would help me a lot. And the biggest thing about all of this is that there's lots of different, all of this stuff is great, and all of it doesn't take a long time for me to research. So it'll take me 6 turns to get espionage. You know what? Let's go for it. Espionage is going to be something that lets me put my energy credits to better use.
Operations primed and ready.
Blessing of Starlight, friendly army heals to 100%. Don't need it. Oh man, I should have put the Blessing of Starlight down before I started the fight. Lowers the income of targeted enemy colony by 50% for 10 turns. During this period, enemy units spend an additional 4 on movement. What's their biggest colony? Enhanced growth did not manage to gain a foothold. The population of the target enemy colony is suffering some unrest. It's a shame, but really I'm just looking for excuses to spend some money right now. Oh, that's actually really expensive. Soulfire. Target enemy army takes 20% damage and suffers soul burn if they enter battle for 1 turn. Okay, so clearly I should have done that earlier, but we'll know it for next time. So it looks like... Yeah, it looks like they're very strong, actually. I'm the weakest military on the map by far. I think the way I'm going to get around this... So there's two ways that I can do this. One is to... No, okay. I'm going to take Zvirdo just because that's such a big, open... Like, this. I would be reckless not to take that. Whether I save it or raise it is another question. What I probably should do next is make a move on Vic Rex. Now, the problem is it's not obvious that these guys aren't just going to turn around to defend the capital. But if I can take out the capital this way, I believe that will both take out the commander and their capital city, and that'll defeat the opponent. Oh no, 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 damn it! I thought that was a different unit. All right. Suppose the real question comes down to like, what's the best way for me to get these guys involved in the fight? I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure what I was trying to do with this group. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to redirect them. I'm going to move sort of along the coasts here. And, I mean, I'll do aquatic movement up to, you know, reaching this area. I mean, they may just wind up being a garrison for Zvirdo. It depends on how long it takes. Okay, Oven Will. So let's start by seeing... Okay, so we've got the Civil Engineering Guild. The funny thing about this is that there are no more colony structures to build. But I have both engineering guilds, so that's not... It's not the right way for me to think about that. Wildland Woods. I think the way I'm going to handle this is that if there is an obvious benefit, so I'll take the advantages of specialization. The fact that this gives me an additional 5 food is the reason why I'm going to hang on to that. This region does not seem to have any major reason to be a food node anymore, so I will switch that one over. But basically, if you get a bonus for it, I'm going to keep you food. If you don't get a bonus for it, I'm going to switch you to something else. So Oven Will... really at this point should just be producing units. So we'll set them up for the Pteranodon as a start. Now, I did just use up all of my energy. Okay, so we've got epigenetic stimulation labs. Now that, I believe... Yeah, that's a landmark, so... and again, we've got we've actually got all the specialization we need in this area, so... Partly just so that I have something to do. We'll get that upgrade in.
Production
so,
ready.
Yeah, the entangling overgrowth may not have been the best decision for me. Okay, so we're already making a biomancer here. Yeah, I guess the capital's going to have to Actually don't feel that threatened in the capital right now, so I'm going to do something a little reckless. If I wasn't already, like, so clearly this Biomancer is already going to be made. It's not necessarily the unit that I would be making right now, but I suppose it's a start for another group when the time comes. We can ignore the ops.
Production ready.
Of course, you were just laying in bed doing lit. I know, but like, so again, it is surprisingly
task
difficult.
completed.
And again, please never take this sort of stuff as me, you know. So okay, so if I have a problem with someone, I will say so. It doesn't necessarily mean that I have stated every person I have a problem with, but I don't see value in, you know, just quietly, this is almost certainly going to be infected Kirko. And this colony is not in a position to deal with a full stack. Well, we'll see what happens next turn. Because we've already got the colony defenses up. Actually, you know what? So I don't have to dedicate resources otherwise. Let's just go for all the infrastructure, then we can do... So this is in pure growth mode, so I'm gonna harden it and we'll be ready to go. But yeah, so please don't take this as like trying to point. I think everybody knows streamers like this. There's no point in highlighting who they are. But it's surprisingly difficult to be genuine about stuff. So like when I say stuff like, you know, there's stuff other than Twitch, you can be reading books, even watching some movies. Like you can actively watch a movie. It's not an elitist thing. But like when I say stuff like that, I really mean it. Like I actually, if I have one regret about grad school, it's the amount of time that I spent on Twitch, both as a broadcaster and as a viewer. It doesn't mean I didn't do well in grad school. I did. The thing is, I genuinely hate the attitude that says, oh, I didn't try very hard and, you know, and I still did awesome. The implication obviously being that the speaker is such a genius that, wow, what the hell am I coming up against? I gotta be very careful about how I handle this. Alright, this isn't actually as threatening as I thought it would be. They've got a couple of strong units, but it's a bit of a paper tiger. But yeah, like the thing, again, regret might even be too strong of a statement, but crap, I can't bring everyone I need. Oh, hang on, I'm not even going to be able to attack them. Okay, sorry, I gotta reload the turn. But yeah, like I really mean it when I say that there's other things that you can do, because in the end, like Twitch doesn't necessarily always give you, I guess for lack of a better term, like the most rewarding, the most like there's limits as to what you can really get out of this platform as far as like just enriching content. Like there's only a certain number of Twitch streams where I can sort of walk away from and say, you know, I think I'm a better person having experienced this. Oh, this is such a tough call. I kind of want to see if I just stand there and take it, what happens. Sort of the triangle is the best defensive position. Yeah, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to move. I'm going to be very careful about this. Actually, this is still probably going to screw me, because then they can still surround. Oh god, yeah, look at that distance. One more time. What I mean by that, though, is that like there's more to life than Twitch. I think the opportunities that I had in grad school were limited in time. And clearly, had I spent more time focusing on my studies, focusing on things that I would have been able to do over a... this is an interesting idea. So kind of go the full distance. I guess it's moving me a little further away from Zvirdo. But I don't know, like it. I guess where I'm really trying to go with it is to say, I've never been convinced that there's something that Twitch offers that, like, so if, yeah, you're going to be stuck in bed the whole time, but that doesn't really mean that time was best spent watching me. Like, I'm sure there's a book that you'd like to watch, or a book you'd like to read, or any number of things that you could have done with that time. And more importantly, out of all of the, Twitch is a big place. There's lots of different channels that you can go to. And so the fact that you spend it with me is also an indicator, right? Because it's not like I'm really giving you a major reason to be hanging out. I'm sorry. Like I said, it's been a hard day, so I'm not as articulate as I'd like to be. I'll just stop ranting and play the game. Despite our attempts to grow on their warm towers, these Autonom insist that we cannot grow our vines on them. They need only strengthen their cables. We must grow over the high spots to receive Sonoral's kiss. Destroy those that cut and clear away our vines. So one of the things I'm a little worried about my approach here, I'm definitely getting cowed by these large armies. And the thing is that I don't exactly have reinforcements coming anytime soon. They are definitely going to get a lot stronger over time, though. So I'm genuinely unsure about this choice here. However, if I can get just one more turn, I think I might be able to turn things in my favor. Obviously here I've got like 2 units worth of reinforcements, but that's not going to be nearly fast enough. Okay, so we've already got the T-Rex. Oh, right. Let's just make sure. Yeah, we've got everything we need here now. So we've got the T-Rex on the way. It'd be hard to say no to a Bombardon. All right, and this is very welcome. So they can annex their first sector. I don't see any reason why I shouldn't take the Xeno Evolution Labs. Obviously, we're still short on clearing these things out. Oh, you know what? That's probably what I was sending that unit for. That's fine though. Let it be known by all, Mahina Wateka ignored claims on sectors. We abhor your actions. Consider yourself warned. Next time I may not be so forgiving. I did not realize Frank Vance felt so strong about that. Let's compliment them. Your message came as a pleasant surprise. You should know my people regard you with much respect. The real worry I have here is that we have a really clear idea over the celestial territories, but I don't see them making any moves on the infected Kirko. And to be completely honest with you, that worries me just given how many units the
Production ready.
Have.
Production ready.
All right, well, we knew that was coming. So Yeah, they get to take 3. I am curious about the auto combat. Wow. I mean, that's great that we won. That's a pretty costly battle. Okay. The good news is I have the Vorderon. The bad news is I'm surrounded. It's more Transcendence than I'd really like to see. So, it seems to me that on this map I want to avoid the AI doing what I just did to them. One thing that complicates this a little bit is that this unit in the middle has a lot of melee units. Which would make them ideal for rushing the Barrager. The catch is that how in the world am I going to deal with so many soldier bees if these guys are just stuck on the ground? So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to unify my units by taking this group out. Now this is a bit risky because it means that these guys get wasted where they could have been helping out over here. These guys are kind of out of commission for an extended period of time. But I think this is probably the most prudent way for me to try and address the circumstances I find myself in. And I have a little bit less. So the Bombardon has area of effect worries for sure. But for now, I'm just going to try and move everyone together as a unit and pray that the consequences aren't too vicious for this first little bit. This is air to air, so I want to have them fairly close. Now, the other thing I want to do. Okay, so if I can get someone around here. Okay, can't do that with the Vorderon. Looks like I don't have any attacks. Oh, but I can't get these guys close enough either. So here I'm trying to bait them a little bit, just to provoke sort of an attack. Again, I'm clustering, which isn't necessarily great, but I also have this is going to be the turn where being clustered up is the lowest cost. If they try any funny business, this might be a problem, but... So, I was debating about trying to get some people to... Oh, actually. Yeah, that's optimistic. So we'll give them a war cry for 3 turns. Yeah, so if it was just this unit, I could see myself redirecting these guys. I don't think anything's going to stop me from having these 2 sets of aerial units combining. So at this point, these guys do full, just flat-out burns as far across the map as they can manage. I want them involved in I want them involved in as much fighting as possible. I suppose the one saving grace here is that assuming we can deal with the that's not the Bombardon, the Barrager. Assuming that we can deal with the Barrager, we sort of have the advantage in that we've cut them in half doing this. I mean, they might unify, given how many flying units, they might unify this way. But we might be able to make the position work to our advantage. We'll see. Oh, I also don't have any energy, so all of my health is yeah, I really probably should have been a little more thoughtful. The fact that I didn't leave any energy in reserve for a fight like this is not good. So, I mean, again, it's to be expected that this thing's going to get targeted. The idea is that he's just going to run in and eat the Transcendent when the time comes. If we can wipe these guys out before these guys become a problem, we've got a fighting chance. If these guys arrive before we're able to take these guys out, it's a problem. Because again, the Barrager is going to be something that I think gets an extended period of time to make us unhappy. I think we can speed this up a little bit. I'm also trying to think whether or not the scenario makes the Kirko so strong in this, or if this is a function of my, you know, focusing too much on infrastructure. Okay. Let's obviously get as close as possible. Good. So now I get to pick these things apart. That sucks. All right. At this point, the priority for me is to take out as many units with single units as possible. And I am going to prioritize the healers.
Enemy down.
That was probably a lot more damage than I was expecting. Okay, we'll move this guy up the one move. Oh crap! I forgot it's a melee unit. I should have moved him a lot closer in that case. I don't know why she's got an extra shot, but I'm happy she does. So one of the reasons why I'm spreading the love here is so that the healers are going to be thinking about what units they want to try and save. Normally I'd want to move her up here, but I think that blocks the path. I don't know whether or not I've got somebody else available, so again, following the rule, if I can take a unit off the table, I want to do that.
Enemy down.
I will confess a little surprise at not being able to target this guy from over here. you know, we'll do what we can. I can do more damage overall. And again, the fact that this guy's got an opportunity to heal may mean that he makes a different decision than he normally might. Okay. I have got some hard decisions about when I want to turn and fight, because this is such a good spot for them to just pummel me from a distance. Like, I have to cover this ground, and they've got an entire air corps to eat up all of these units on the way. So I think we need to just batten down the hatches and deal with their support before I can even consider trying to break that. I think any melee units I send in to deal with the Barrager is just gonna perish. I suspect also I'm not going to be able to cross this river here. I really think there's only one way for me to get there. Okay, so I'll move this Swift Beak up. In this case, I want to try and be a little bit more careful in terms of clustering, but I think that's going to happen one way or the other. All right. And I'm lucky enough that we get a shot.
Enemy eliminated.
So that's just a bunch of healers that we were able to take out. So the destroyer's not going to be able to come after anything this turn, so at this point we'll just try and get everyone into a position for the next fight. I should have kept her at a distance so that she could get the healing bonus. It would not hurt for me to try and do a scan on someone. I think the thing I really want to scan, though, are these, not the soldier bees, the engulfers. So the first objective we were going for has kind of been achieved now. We've got our army focused in one place, and more importantly, we were able to accomplish that by essentially wiping out this force here. The catch is that the enemy's kind of been able to unify their forces too, because of the way that, because of the ground that I gave up. More importantly, they have their artillery in a position that's really, really hard for me to reach. So one of the solutions to that might be to try and get a Huntress unit on this hill to be able to drop a blind. But, that's... That's going to be a hard one, let's say. So again, these are light units. This is not the end of the world yet. I guess maybe one of the things that I could try is if I successfully take out their aerial units early on, one of the things that I can try is use the newfound aerial superiority to go after the bomber, or the artillery rather. This guy's going to be picking off any aerial units that I send to come after that guy, though. Yeah, it's funny, like, normally, like, when I go in with a bunch of light units, I have no idea how to make it work. I am definitely feeling like I'm in a lot of danger against this. Okay. So it seems to me there's only one ground unit. Oh, actually. I need the
Enemy
health.
eliminated.
Okay. I think we just do our best to take out as many things as we can. Yeah, line's not quite in the range I need. Definitely focusing on healers is a pretty big one for me. I kind of need to make every shot count here.
Enemy annihilated.
That was a very lucky turn of events. So the guard's not really going to be doing anything here. I'm going to guess that they're not able to cross. Oh, you can cross here. Okay, well that's pretty important information. I'm going to keep them. I got to keep them in cover. Obviously, I don't exactly want to have the thing shot to death, but. Sorry, I just heard a bunch of Windows noises, but I don't think it's this computer. 1 second. We're good. Okay. Yeah, I do still need to deal with this thing. Okay. Flank's kind of important here. So anywhere I move in this little area, it's primed to get hit by the artillery. If I know and accept that, where would I want to move? This isn't the worst spot. It's not exactly covered, but...
Enemy annihilated.
So part of that was just so that I can try and open these guys up. Ah, that's a shame. All right. I was really hoping that I'd be able to get involved in the fight. I'm going to keep them in position because they're not exactly in fighting shape. Yeah, these guys need to be there for the retaliation. They don't necessarily need to be on the vanguard. This is a little disappointing that this unit is not able to do more in the fight right now. Yeah, so the problem here is this is really reactive at a time that I need to be maximizing the damage that I do to these guys. But, I mean, this is the hand I've been dealt, right? This may not exactly be the time for it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do a rallying cry at any other point, so... Wow, I really thought these guys at least would be able to do some range. I don't know if I mispositioned or just the AI is really good at handling its own positioning, so I think there are going to be some devastating consequences to this. But I'm trying to get as many people as I can ready for the dramatic speech. So, if I'm worried about the engulfers, so again, this is the worst possible thing I could do when there's artillery focused on me, but... supply is. They've got healers I didn't even know existed. Oh, hello. I mean, they'll get the snapshot, but... Ah, clever. This is completely a time I would be using the tactical operations to drop a heal down. Like, this is designed for the way that I've built up my tac ops. It may not hurt for me to try and sleep some of these things now that I think about it. Like, it's clear that I'm not going to be able to take everything out in one turn, so being able to disable as many enemy units as possible. I have a completely bonkers plan for that hero that they were focusing down, by the way. I don't know if it'll work, but I'm excited about it. Okay, so... this seems to do more damage, so I will run with that first. This is probably going to get hit by... so these guys are probably going to get bombed. Oh, no, they're not. All right. I was thinking that would be enough to take it out. So the question is, how do I prioritize targets? Technically, I maximize my damage by going after the engulfers, but it's the soldier bees that are going to be ripping apart my armor. Maybe the first thing that I should be doing is focusing on things that I have the greatest chance of okay. Let's start by taking a look at what's filled with despair. Unit has minus 400 morale, and when it dies, an echo of despair is summoned under the command of the opposing faction. That sounds like a really important thing for me to get my hands on right now. Okay, so before I do anything, should have hit that one instead. Damn it.
Enemy eliminated.
Wait, where's my goth unit? Wasn't I supposed to get, like, a summon? I don't understand. Okay, so clearly this thing's got to get out of the caustic smoke. Question is, how do I get it out of the caustic smoke and still do... still have some effect? I think I'm going to move him back a little bit. This is not normally where I'd want to put a unit like this, but given the fact the only thing it can contribute to the air war... Are you kidding me? I should have looked at this first. Oh, that's so upsetting. At least I had the extra move. But yeah, so the idea here is going to be... Really?
Enemy destroyed.
I mean, if I have to throw people to the lions, I'll do it, but... I'd sure like to have something to show for it. It's like, this is obviously opening up for a world of retaliation. Okay, so the bananas plan I have for this unit is to run them up like this. Set up their defense. Basically, this Biomancer saves their backside. Thing is, I want to see how far away... Okay, so that Biomancer does not have a lot of options. This better work. I clustered things up a little too much because now I'm struggling to be able to move places the way or where I want them. I feel like this blind is much better used for one of the Transcendents, but they're just simply not in range right now. I think it's better for me to try and minimize their ability to damage. I'm shy of what I needed. Well, that's a shame. They're going to be a target rather than a contributor. I should also remember that the caustic smoke is gonna make life a little difficult for that kind of movement. So yeah, I guess the question is, do I like stand in the middle and be a victim to the AoE? I guess there isn't as much AoE anymore. Well, there's still a caustic... Oh god, yeah, there's still a caustic smoke. I mean, I don't think there's anything I can do about that now, but I probably should have been thinking about what that would mean. Maybe... I get 2 shots with this one, so... So they make caustic smoke here, but at the very least I kind of get a fighting chance. I definitely should have moved this melee unit first. I feel like I've kind of wasted some opportunities. I am, however, going to be a little more aggressive in moving on this side, because it's got the engulfers. We know we get some bonus damage against them. And, you know, I didn't think this Lancer was in play, but it turns out they're really helpful right now. I mean, this might have been the only thing that was saving these guys from the Barrager, but honestly, anything I can do to minimize the AoE that this side of the fight's going to be taking, the better. Alright, that hero's going down.
Hero lost.
I mean, to one extent, it... Hey, Dr. Frankenbinder, thank you very much for the... I guess you must have waited You must have waited for the crossover. Very clever. Thank you very much for re-subbing. I am in the middle of a very difficult fight right now. And the problem is that if I lose too many units, it's still a good fight for the enemy. Because they outnumber me and have some logistical advantages. Thank you very much for that. I hope you're doing well.
Unit has fallen.
So, you know, what might wind up saving me with this blind is just the fact that they need to spend some turns to get rid of it. Like, look how many units weren't able to do something this turn because of that. That Transcendent is about to do something that will make me very angry. Unfortunately, I may not have a response for it. Alright, well, I'll do what I can. A little bit of fire is better than none. You had your first day at the new job, and it's going to be 3 weeks of training and even more after 120 days. That is great to hear. I realize training is not necessarily everyone's idea of a good time, but as far as I'm concerned, that shows that your new employer values enough to invest in you. So I hope you have a good time with it. More importantly, I hope that it's really chill training, because, like, let's face it, it's kind of awesome when when you have a job and the training isn't, like, you learn stuff, but, like, it's also not obscenely difficult. So this is the guy with the caustic smoke. Unfortunately, he's out of range, so I am still going to prioritize the engulfers. Whether or not that's the smart call is a whole other question, but... I gotta take the kills where I can.
Enemy down.
We're gonna have to deal with a hero entering the fight really, really soon. Alright, this seems like too good of an opportunity to pass up.
Enemy annihilated.
There's just so many targets to go after. I want to know what the hell happened to that that unit that was supposed to spawn. Okay, well, clearly, if I can take a piece off the board.
Enemy down.
This is the higher probability of success. I mean, it makes them get flanked, but that's a consideration for next turn.
Enemy killed.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I remember when I worked at a bank, they gave us a few months of training. I thought it was very good. I mean, like, one thing that I thought was really good about it was that it created almost a certain esprit de corps among my training cohort. There are still people from that, actually, that I keep in a certain degree of touch with.
Enemy killed.
And I actually found those to be very valuable relations. Like, not even necessarily just in the sense of, like, I wanted something and this person got it for me. later on. I mean, that's obviously nice to have in some cases. Oh, do I only have one unit? So I was hoping to tie this guy up with physical, but clearly the Inferno Claw is the better option. Again, it takes something
down.
off the board. The more important thing, though, is that, like, consider the amount of pressure that this side is on with all of the negative effects. The fact that these flying units are now going to be sort of focusing their attention over here, like, this gives these guys some much-needed breathing room. But yeah, like, for me, I think there is something to be said that if you have a training that winds up sort of fostering these very positive relationships that make a tough job sort of worth still going to, it's one of these things where, like, all of a sudden the employer doesn't have to pay you extra for making you do stuff you don't want. It's something that mitigates those negative feelings so that generally you're not going to want to go somewhere else. Obviously I can have lots of opinions on how companies are run. That's not really going to count for a whole lot. But I get the feeling that a lot of companies wind up wasting quite a bit of money by not... I guess what I want to say is that, like, they... there's so much money that seems to be wasted in the sense of, like, because it's very bottom line focused, they... oh, that's gonna make life more difficult. They've saved the money on, like, I don't know, not updating the break room. But what they've done is, it kind of communicates an unwillingness to invest in their people, and so all of a sudden they wonder why their turnover, like their employee turnover is so bad. Gonna be working 40 hours a week and then get commission on top of it. Very good. Commission was always a really hard one for me. I worked in a camera store for a short period of time. It was while I was still trying to figure out what I was doing after. Okay, this is a gift.
Enemy killed.
So I worked at this camera store. Please tell me. Okay, cool. I was like, surely I can't eat the Barrager.
Enemy annihilated.
They used to give this, like, they used to have this, like, report, or not report, but, like, there's, like, the list of stuff that you would get, like, a bonus commission on for selling the camera. I really didn't like that style, because, like, in the end, right, I'm part of the job that I'm doing, part of, like, the value added I'm giving a customer is, finding the right camera for them, not the one that the company says is for them, the actual best camera for them. And I know, like, Best Buy does this, like, our staff isn't on commission, so that you're going to get the right advice. Or it just means that they're a bunch of cheapskates, right? Best Buy, not the employees, obviously. But, like, it's not an unfair point. Like, very clearly there are places that are not necessarily acting in your best interests when they're recommending stuff. Alright, I think I might have to roll the dice. But on the other hand, like, one reason I like commission is it puts the incentives in the right place. Like, your success is somewhat tied, the company's success, your success are sort of tied with each other. I don't know, I like, there are some scummy ways of doing commission for sure, but it seems to me that, in addition to, I don't know, being proud of your work, being able to give people the right recommendations, or I'm not doing. I'm thinking when you say T-Mobile, like, you're probably going to be getting people in touch with the phone plans and the phones that are most appropriate to them. And I remember like one of the things that really worked for me, at least, when it came to... Okay, I think I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to take this guy for this soldier B.
Enemy
Sorry, I'm
annihilated.
splitting between the two. Like, one of the things I liked about the bank, I wasn't necessarily on a commission, but they did have really, really, really strict sales targets. Like, I would argue almost unfair targets near the end.
Enemy
But
eliminated.
one of the things that I did like was that there were certain things. So, like, I could put people on a card that was a lower interest rate card, and in certain circumstances that would actually still count as a sale, like a sale in terms of those targets. Basic, just because of a couple things. Like, technically it's a fee-based card, so even though the overall amount of interest that they're paying, they're paying less in interest overall, but they're going from like a free card to a fee card, and so that technically counts as a sale, at least under the old system it did. And so one of the things that I liked about that was I felt enabled to make recommendations that were in the customer's best interests. But fingers crossed. I was kind of hoping that I would get some Overwatches, but I guess not.
Enemy annihilated.
We'll just stride across the battlefield. These guys really aren't doing anything anymore. But yeah, I don't know. There's like, that was one where I felt good. Like, because in the end, like, I remember for a while I had like sales figures that were very good, like ones to be proud of. And so I was sort of invited to sort of teach some new members of the team, how to do it, right? And I kind of pointed it out, is that, part of this is just knowing what the person needs, like being able to say, like not treating everything, like I guess one big thing is that, like, if somebody's calling in to say, my grandmother just passed away, I need to close her
destroyed.
account. Like, maybe that's not the time to, to try and sell them on an Air Miles card. Like, taking the time to say, people are calling for a reason. That reason's not always... Wait, I think I just disabled the sleep on them. Like an idiot. I completely forgot that if you attack someone, it disables the sleep. We'll still be able to... I think we'll just be able to get him with sheer volume. But, like, basically sort of saying is, like, if you listen to someone and hear what they're telling you as opposed to what they're saying. It thought the combat was over. Now it's over.
Victory is ours.
Yeah, exactly. Like, empathy, in my opinion, is like the best sales tool. Being able to just take a minute and say, or, even like if you're running into someone who's in a situation where you genuinely can't help them, like, at least being able to be real with them and acknowledge, this really sucks and I'm sorry this is happening to you. No, you're probably not going to get a sale off of that. Does it make sure that you're going to be able to go to work and, look yourself in the mirror after you're done your shift? Yeah, probably. So that was one of the things I loved about the camera store, actually. It didn't pay that well, even with the commissions. Like, again, I've been generally okay at sales stuff, but that place really was kind of... It just been sold to venture capital, so, like, the usual the usual routine of kind of trying to cut costs where you can. I mean, that place isn't in business anymore, so that kind of gives you an idea how good they were. Although I believe the VCs were able to sell it off to a bigger company and make a pretty healthy profit. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like, there's just something about being able to. There's something about being able to deal with people as, you know, as humans, acknowledge the circumstances that you find them in, and if you can, try to help as much as possible. Like, be human about it. Be able to, you know what? Healing is a pretty high priority right now, so I think we're gonna go and do this side quest. I was going to ignore it originally, but this seems like a decent way for me to be able to use some of my biomancers to heal up. It'll also buy me some time while I get my reinforcements in. But yeah, like, I kind of feel like the sale. So I mean, number one, there's a responsibility on the employer to be able, like, to set targets that are reasonable. It's you know, it's perfectly possible for a workplace to basically just give you an impossible mission, and then be really mad that, you know, why didn't you do that? You know, it's like, well, you know, I remember there was a time when at the bank the sales targets were getting more aggressive. And I noticed that there was a number of people who were calling in about the number of, credit cards that they'd been upgraded to. Like, you know, I didn't. So this is like the thing.
The Amazon spirit enhances all living things, granting grace and strength. The trees awaken as majestic queens. They heed our song and crush our enemies with the quiet force of the forest itself. Dame Viola Dalta, Tree Singer.
This is the thing that Wells Fargo got in trouble for, I think. Signing people up for accounts that they didn't ask for. And, you know, there was always the line, right? Like, if we ever find somebody doing that, they're immediately put on disciplinary action. And I'm like, yep, but you're not looking very hard. And I remember a couple of people who were suddenly the sales stars. Like, I heard those calls, and it's like, this person definitely did not accept what you just offered them, and I just saw you, like, chalk that up as a conversion. And again, like, I like to think that those companies eventually suffer for it. Like, you know, I'll be honest with you, if I got the slightest impression that I was put on a product that I'd not given full consent for from my bank, there'd be hell to pay, and I'd immediately switch accounts. I do not have any time whatsoever to, like, my finances are already something that causes me enough stress. The fact that I would need to, like, not just double check my financial statements against against my own activity, but to double check it against what that bank is doing. Like, no savings. Like, what are you, $5 a month on a checking account? Like, yeah, I'll pay up if it means that I don't need to work, if I don't need to bank with a place that is suddenly going to opt me into the thing that costs like $50 a month. So yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's so basic. And I think some of it really just comes down to, like, just think this through for a minute. Like, do you really think people are that stupid? Do you really think, even at these places where they just sort of acknowledge that the job is bad, so there's going to be a lot of turnaround, is like, well, why? Right? Like, you don't have to make it that way. There are other ways of, capturing your, again, you need to make money, right? Generally, if you run a business that, spends more than it makes in, it's not going to last for a while. There is something to be said for the sustainability of a business, but there's a lot of room in terms of exactly how that's achieved. And it just seems to me that there's just these tragic missed opportunities by people who could, but for a moment to just reflect and say, okay, here's why we're doing this thing. Would have otherwise been a perfectly successful or a fun place to work, a good business. It's like, here's a great example. Like, I'm sure people like Amir Rao, one of the founders of Supergiant Games, like, clearly the people at Supergiant are very talented, and they have some really good ideas about how to make good video games. But there is something to be said for looking at companies like that and wondering, it's like, so why is it that they seem to be consistently churning out good stuff? We can assume that they are, super geniuses who just have some magic secret sauce that, no mere mortal will ever be able to comprehend. Or you can start looking at maybe some of the things that they are considering. What are they focusing on? What are they spending their time on? And I'm going to guess that probably Supergiant Games is a lot more fun to work at than like CD Projekt Red. I don't know. I'm ranting about too much stuff that's not the game, but I'm clinging on to dear life in the game. We've had some pretty hard fights where we've turned out okay, but my grand force is definitely getting chipped apart, and there's no clear path for getting some reinforcements. So, first thing I'm going to do, the reason why I skipped out of the military research slot. Okay, again, it's another paper tiger. We could easily take this. Maybe it doesn't say... it may be... I don't know exactly what their defenses look like here, but this force I could definitely take out. What I'm really trying to focus on right now is, like, what am I up against? So, I know they have a bunch of shields because of the swarm. Their base defenses are armor. Yeah, so anything that melts armor is kind of my higher priority.
We must make correct, informed decisions for all. We seek information from all sides. We will bore deep into their functioning heart. How the swarm obtains information is immaterial to the mind of the Hive. Kiki Schlick, the spy.
So I already committed to getting espionage. Sorry. I need to swallow before I finish. There's no benefit to me speaking a couple minutes before, or a couple seconds before, if my mouth is half full of food. I'm sorry. So this is just following up on the commitment that I was going to get espionage again. This is particularly because my tactical operations are suffering due to my lack of energy. I am going to start stockpiling. So one of the reasons why I held off on the military track is I'm just trying to think about how I'm... Like, what am I up against? What am I really trying to accomplish here? So, they've got biological recovery. Wait, this is transcendent, so that's not actually as important. They don't have any obvious weaknesses. It's not like the Shikaran, which are like, have a lower resistance to everything. They definitely do a lot of... Yeah, so maybe this is one thing I should keep in mind, is that the majority of it is going to be bio damage. So if I can mitigate that, that'll help the survivability of a bunch of my units for sure. I'm definitely feeling like the Celestian path is something that I've ignored for too long. So Tenets of Healing, definitely something that I should be considering. We already have, so we've already got some things that give us Enlightened, which is good. The Star Guide, I mean, it's a tier 5 unit, it's nothing to sneeze at. Question is if I need any specialists right now. Let's take a minute and read exactly what the Star Presence is. Oh, not Star... yeah. Star Guide. Consider each path of light, heed the Star Guide's communing call, trace the structure of orderly stars, ponder purple purposeful night, discipline your questioning mind, abandon evolution's own appetite, believe the faithful's perpetual fight, transcend your natural fleshy lusts, be seen, by the all-searching eye, become a being of light. Star Guide Shinshia Chic RV6600R Celestian Vespers. Okay, so we've got a repeating soul burn. Okay, that kind of makes it worth it on its own. Blinding light applies blind. It's also psionic, so yes, here's the key. Psionic attacks bypass armor. So these are like my Huntresses only awesome. The shields are a weakness because they've got their physic... Well, yeah, but the shields are going to be a weakness no matter what. Okay. So I'm inclined to Star Presence. Regenerative Bioregulator is not bad. A Healing Pile... Oh, that'd be a really good one. Honestly, at this point, I don't think the lasers are going to do much for me. I can see improving the biological attacks that I do. The ability to put a healing beacon down on the battlefield, especially if I take small fights, is so good. But I am going to do Star Presence, because these units actually seem like something that could really turn the tide. Also, I did not take a look at what the... Alright, so the Arborean Queen. What's your story? The Devar came with their machines and their poison, stripping away life for dead treasure. Oh, my beloved trees, slaughtered only to be consumed as fuel for their furnaces. Then I heard it, their song. The Arborean summoned her. The Arborean Queen awakens, filling the air with healing. Whatever their noxious poison withers, she regrows. Kin sisters, watch! Her roots shake the earth as they stumble to flee. Let her arrows strike them as she grows forests to conceal us. Her tendrils tear their machines asunder while their roads are broken to pieces. Huntress Sophienstra, Sorena, RV 25320M, Woodlands Awakened. So... I guess it doesn't say if this is a specialist or what, but they've got the biocannon repeating, fairly strong attack demolisher, ignores cover and unit penalties. It's thermal weakness for obvious reasons, but I don't really need to worry about that. Hyperpollination creates a 4 hex area of effect centered on the unit. All friendly Wait, a 4 hex area of effect in the middle of this thing? Holy sweet mother of mercy. That is really, really good. Regrowth, target, dead plant or animal unit is returned to life. What? Oh my god, this is a good unit. So I still want to make it enlightened. So I can give it more shields. Yeah, no, we give it Shield of Remorse, because if people shoot it, then it's... they get sad. I don't think this thing can be flanked already. Doesn't say it, though. I mean, regen spores aren't bad, but it feels like I'm just duplicating the hyperpollination ability. The acid is a pretty high priority. Yeah, I'll give it the acid composite. So obviously that will clean me out as far as Cosmite's concerned, but it's a pretty cool unit. Oh crap. I need to be patient with this unit. Okay. I can't really build any units right now because if I do... Well, okay, the units I want to build are very expensive. That doesn't actually mean I can't build units, but I think in this case, generating a stockpile of energy is not a bad thing. Okay, I'm glad I do get a chance to work with this unit. So it's pretty clear we're not going to be ready to attack this base. It's possible, though, that the reinforcements... reinforcements can mean the difference for our ability to take Zvirdo. So that's going to be the new target. I think this moved already, right? Yeah. So this thing's just going to stay put. I could generate knowledge, but I don't see much value in that.
Operations primed and ready.
I'm going to try avoiding using Blessing of Starlight just because it costs me 80 to prime, and like I said, I wanted to try and boost my stockpiles.
Enemy operation detected.
Sleeper Xenonomes successful. Your army is struck by Sleeper Xenonomes, damaging and infecting your troops. Okay, so this is clearly something that happened before that combat. And okay, so my allies have a pretty decent army, they're just not using it. I'm not at all worried about these marauders.
Production ready.
Oh yes, actually, I'm gonna move this Biomancer to a different location because basically, this is supposed to be a unit of 6, and I kind of want there to be one Biomancer for each stack. I suppose one thing I can be doing, though, is if I've got these spare units kicking around, I should be picking up the resources that are just lying around. Kind of being careless about that. Also... Yeah, it's the wrong direction. I did want to clear out these bonuses, but it's too far away from the front. I'm going to spend all my time clearing those out. Alright, let's see what happens. Right, we knew that was going to happen.
It is a matter of our security to know every discovery ever made by all other worlds in our reach. We would never abuse this information. We're the government, the good guys. Burgess Kian, Core Systems Architect.
Okay, Hydro expertise is not a bad one to turn down, and it's a 1-turn difference. Production development, though, it gets me tier advanced production sectors, so that'll mean that I get to build everything faster, namely units. And then, of course, research development is an investment in terms of getting these things done a bit faster. I think I'm going to do production development. As much as I want to do hydro expertise, I also think the colonies that have the coastal tiles are not actually going to be able to do what I want them to right away. I should be thinking, so Ronfeel is able to expand, but I didn't put a lot of thought in terms of... Oh, you know what? I bet I did way back in the old street. Okay, so... I get 4, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. I think we said this was going to be one of the ones that we got, which means we need to deal with the hazard removal. So I guess 1, 2 here. That's a really heavy emphasis on food, but where else am I going to put them, right? Yeah, so solitary wins it is. Okay, let's get you to pick up the goodies. I'm getting close to the end. I'm sorry for those of you who are hoping for a little more gameplay. Good, I guess as consolation, I'm streaming longer than I thought I would be. It's probably not much consolation if you just started watching, but I really want to put this Tyrannosaurus through its paces. Thing is, though, it's a 660 strength, so these guys outdo us by 1,000. I need to bring more soldiers. All right.
Operations primed and ready.
It's energy siphon. Not a great chance, but our agents successfully infiltrated the enemy's defenses and have installed the energy siphons. In a few turns, the sequence will complete, and the stolen energy will be transmitted to us. Keep you... I'd really love it if I could have more units on this fight. But unfortunately, I don't think they're... Okay, actually that's... I guess I get at least 1 more. The rest of it doesn't help, though. We'll still keep everybody sort of in the same boat. So I won't approve tactical operations. I'll see what the AI does. Yeah, I'm not accepting losses. I'll have to go in and do it manually. This might be the last battle of the game then, but... This is not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, but I think we should be able to do better than losing 2 units. So I want an idea of exactly what the plasmoid... I think these are the things that start flaming out when you attack them. Yep. Please don't try to cook them. Sure, Specialist Varen calls it her walking barbecue grill. Sorry, cook on them. Sure, Specialist Varen calls them her walking barbecue grill, but just bumping them causes a fiery blowback of 3rd-degree burns. They're like walking napalm grenades. Plasmoids became available when research scientists from the Promethean Project developed what they called the Phoenix Op Station. There's a whole protocol to containing the caustic inferno of chemicals that fuel them. Ever since then, these little fiery bots are part of our acquisition cycle. We can order a little extra firepower if you catch my meaning. Text Melonballer Smith, RV6750M, Special Ops and Support. So these guys are going to be a bit of a priority to take out if I can. Looks like the Phoenix Walker is prioritizing this group. Light biological or cyborg units. I don't think any of this counts, so the Vorderon is not quite as useful as it would normally be. So the good news is that for some reason the Sentinel has declined to put itself in a helpful position. Here's what I'm going to do. So I do want to make sure that this only gets lash out. This is only a melee attack. So what I want to do is basically put the folks right at the edge of its range. So these two tiles are forbidden. These ones are fine. Am I willing to risk clustering? Yeah, let's keep him away from the sentry. I am going to go out and around with the Vorderon, and that's because I want to try and fight the Phoenix Walker head-on. And similar argument here, the Lightbringer. So I suppose the one risk I now have is that if this thing's got a... Okay, no, this thing is close range too. My people are safe for now. The good news is that this will hopefully get me in good with the growth. Okay, so I want to be a little conscious about how this thing's going to be moving, but I also want to make it tempting enough. I want to make it tempting enough for this thing to make a move on us. So move this guy around the side just on the chance that that monitor... I don't think the monitor is going to do anything, but just in case it gets a little brave. So I wouldn't normally have done this, but it actually seems like a decent idea to try and scan the unit I'm nervous about. Yeah, so I mean this thing's getting buffs for days, but okay, so that move more or less is predicted. Interesting. Alright, so I don't think there's any flanks, unfortunately, on these guys. So we'll try and keep our distance as much as we can. That was pretty disappointing. But that was also partly so that I can... Ah, damn it. was kind of hoping to get my commander up a little bit closer. All right, well. Kind of wish it were different, but...
Enemy down.
So I do have a bit of a dilemma with the remainder, because I've just run out of, yep. I just ran out of ranged attacks on that thing. Not exactly. Okay, this isn't quite how I planned on using this unit. It's a hell of a lot better than
Enemy killed.
going into melee. Alright, now this is going to be a fascinating fight. Because this guy is not a pushover at close range. Psionic resistance, crap. I probably should have staggered. Well, let's try and get the soul burn on it first. Ooh. Do I want to go in for the melee with this guy? I maybe think of blinding him, but, like, what's that going to accomplish, really? Like, pretty much everything that it can do, it does in a very tight circle around it itself, so... How much damage do I do if I come in for the... Yeah. There's going to be hell to pay for this, but it's the right call. And unfortunately, there's not a lot that I can do with this unit here. I am eventually going to use it to come after this guy, but I have a feeling I'm going to wind up losing some health that I'd rather not. Alright, so let's see how this turns out. I hate this unit.
Enemy annihilated.
That was the reason for this slightly counterintuitive effort to go in with a lot of melee on that guy, even at the risk of this unit being flanked. So really the aim now has got to be take the stuff out of the sky if possible, and the stuff that's ranged, engage it in melee as soon as I can reach it. I'll take the cover I can get. I genuinely don't know. Yeah, that can't be effective. Okay, so we'll just brace. Oh crap, I forgot. That's the laser repeater, not the
Enemy
air to air.
eliminated.
Still, did what it was intended to. Okay, I gotta think about who gets the heals at some point. For now, though, I have at least one unit that can... Yeah, damn it. So I don't think anybody else is going to be able to make a move on them. Oh, maybe not. Alright, I'll take it. Ooh. How confident do I feel in my Biomancer? Very. So graze is better than nothing. I'm putting this Lightbringer in so much danger doing this, but I guess as long as it's all alive at the end. Success of a kind. Here, I mean, this isn't great, but I really do want to try and put the damage that I can on potential threats. I've never seen a greater case for a good grenade. I'm assuming I'm going to have somebody else to be able to take that out. Oh crap, I forgot. It doesn't. I was hoping I'd get the stagger just to avoid the repeating attacks. Okay, that was a bit of a blunder. There is an argument for me to do a blind here, but I need to see... you know what? We're going for it. And at this point, yeah, so I guess the question is, am I worried about this Sentinel, or do I want to try and get the second? Yeah, okay. That answers that. Wow. Holy crap, that was bad. Alright, so there's definitely going to be some retaliation. I don't think we lose a unit off of it. They could probably focus something down. Wow, my commander.
Our leader shall return.
Well, I mean,
Enemy killed.
out of anything to lose, I suppose it's just as well as it was that. This'll be fun.
Enemy annihilated.
Alright, so now it's really just a matter of maximizing the number of things that get thrown at this. There is a small problem in the fact that it's actually really far away, so we may not be able to kill this turn. But I really wanted the Vorteron to come tearing out of the boxes, so I may have made a tactically questionable choice in the name of doing an interesting an interesting visual. Alright, let's see what else we can bring to bear. Yeah, wow. I mean, it's good for them. They read the situation, but it's going to be really inconvenient for me. Let's try and get that soul burn down. Fascinating. I might have just screwed this unit, but if I get a trio of attacks, yeah, I'm taking it.
Victory is ours.
You know what? I screwed up. That Biomancer should have healed a unit.
Objective completed.
But we did get some influence with the Autonom, so if I want some fresh bees, I should be in good shape. These Autonom will think twice before they send out their agents to cut back our growth. All thanks to you, Mahina Wateka. You have our regards. An Imperial production stash. You find a transport containing a salvageable production stash. Unfortunately, the stash's systems are destroyed and provide no data on its origin, destination, or the event that led to its destruction. Alright. And I just crossed into the 3-hour mark, so... 5 skill points, huh? Every unit in the hero's army has 2 damage reduction in all channels against... Okay, that's a really good one. Once per battle is not as exciting. Every unit has 10% increased accuracy. That is also a pretty good one. So Deny the Wicked is pretty strong, though. A nice big protection. Hard to turn down. Clearly, I have a bunch of artifacts, too. So let's just take a minute here. Alright, well, she's fine. Okay, well, the stims, I think they go without saying. This is my very physically oriented. So combat stims for her too. Mending rig is a little tempting, but she already has recharge through other means, so I think I'm going to do the drone deployment just because there are definitely situations where Crucia does not, because she's a physical, like a melee unit, there are going to be situations where she's not necessarily able to do anything that given turn, so being able to deploy a ship is not a bad little trait to have. I don't really fear an attack this time, and we're going to have to get the people out of the water. I was a little stupid doing that, but... Okay. I'm not feeling entirely confident about doing all of this by boat, but I'm kind of committed to it now. Alright, I was not expecting this unit. I know I picked it. I wasn't expecting it, though. So, this is welcome to add to our new army. So this is another situation where normally I would really like to be able to... I'd really like to be able to build some units here, and I will. But I do want to make sure that I've got stockpiles for tactical operations, now strategic operations. And I think I'm going to hold off on an energy siphon again. As much as I would like to do that. It is 100. Well, okay. I'll build up the... Well, no. Actually, I said I wasn't that scared of retaliation. So, let's see if we can get some research taps on as well. Come on, man.
Production ready.
This is going to be a bit of a drag on my economy, but as far as I'm concerned, this is necessary and important. Alright, so I'm cautiously optimistic about where we're at. So, I mean, I think the game's still going to score us as the lowest military. It does look like the group that was up here is now sort of combined. And it is worth remembering that in Zvirdo, they had, I think it was 3 units. Definitely some of the units that were lost when fighting us are making their way up here. The biggest problem is that I'm taking some turns to heal up right now. Those turns are going to be my enemy taking its entire production capability to make a replacement army. Everything I lose here, I don't get back. Everything they lose, they're able to spend points to rebuild. This is one of the reasons why it's really important for me to get this unit in, and ideally to get this unit in as well. And it's one of the reasons why I'd really like to turn Zvirdo into a base for me, rather than something that we raise. I'm pretty sure if we can take it, we can hold it. The question is whether or not we can take it. Because again, this force isn't... I mean, this is a little bit scarier than what I was looking at back up here, but we have dealt with something like this in the past and turned out okay. So, with that in mind, obviously it was a more quiet stream. Actually, one of the most quiet in a while. And I think there's something to be said about the fact that... yeah, so one thing I'm kind of noticing is that the appetite for Age of Wonders Planetfall is probably smaller on Twitch than it is on YouTube. So I don't know, if you're watching, you're probably here because you enjoyed it. But if you have feelings one way or the other about the game, especially because Mass Effect is not necessarily to everyone's taste, and it you know, if I do 2 games that people don't really care for in a row, that's maybe a little bit of a worry for me. I'm still quite fond of so this is maybe the big thing. Like, I am actually quite fond of Age of Wonders Planetfall. I'm a little sad that this game still doesn't quite seem to have the same audience as Age of Wonders 3. I think Age of Wonders 3 is a wonderful game too. But I'm not sure if this is the Civilization thing where people prefer the older version of the game for like a year after it's released. Or if there's just something about Planetfall that's turned people off and I'm immune to. I mean, like I said, I'm easy to please on games. I will say, you know, viewership's one thing. I don't know how you all felt about this stream, but I actually feel pretty good about my Amazon state. Like, we definitely took on some tough fights. Tough for me, at least. We seemed to do reasonably well. I'm not sure if on the strategic level we're going to translate. So this is just it. You know, I can win 100 battles and still be no closer to actually claiming my goal. So it may be that I'm making some decisions on the strategic layer that will prevent me from making progress later on. But I'll admit, like, given the fact that I'm coming back to the Amazon campaign, I'm actually feeling okay about that. I suppose maybe for the benefit of those, assuming that we carry on with Planetfall the whole way, and I'd really like to, but I could put it to you this way too, if the taste for this is on YouTube and not on Twitch, there's nothing to say that I can't do another VOD series. But if in principle we were to do the full, after this mission, we get the Syndicate, so we get a brand new race. We'll be going back to the Amazon shortly after. It looks like the Syndicate again. The Assembly are really interesting. I am quite curious about Mora Secundus, because it doesn't say who we play or who we're up against. We do have to beat everything to unlock it, so I'm assuming that a lot of these decisions that we've had to make have been there. But again, this is maybe one of the reasons why I really like Planetfall. There's a lot to do, and we've certainly, I mean, we're halfway through the campaign. We still have one mission of Revelations to do, and then when we're finished with that, we can hit a new planet button and see what's going on. So, plenty of things to do in Planetfall. Whether or not I get a chance to do all of them in the future, I will leave to your feedback and your revealed preferences. So I'm going to exit out of the game here because I know the music goes away. I'd love it if you would stick around for a little while just to, to stay for the raid, even if it's a small raid. I think it's nice to be able to support someone. And you know what? So there's 2 things that I'm quite interested on here. So for number 1, so I'm probably going to host Ponce. He's playing Remnant from the Ashes, which looks really good. And actually, Ponce is probably my... Ponce is somebody who I think does Dark Souls style games particularly well. Oh, hey, Gaster 2 Soul. I'm actually just finishing up tonight. So I'm sorry for that. Looks like I've already lost a viewer. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Rift Tracks is also really funny. There's a cheap Jaws ripoff coming on. But I think I need to move on. Okay, tell you what. I'll give you guys a couple of let's say, okay, it's a smaller stream tonight, so I don't normally like making plans in public. But while we're getting ready for the Ponce raid, let me tell you about what I'm thinking of. So there is a game that a developer reached out to me about, forever ago. It's called, I think it's Urukon High Strategy. It's a very simple looking game, but it's actually made by somebody who very clearly loves strategy games. So that's one that I want to show off. And then, oh crap, it's already counting down. I probably shouldn't have done this. The other one that I'm thinking about is to do Civilization 6, which is a game I quite like, and I know people have wanted to see in the past. Where is this other game? Crap. I had it on the tip of my tongue and now it's gone. Where did it go? Okay, well, let's leave it between those two. If you guys are interested in seeing either one of those, you can let me know. Where was it? Oh, that's so frustrating. I wouldn't have started the counter if I could remember what it was. All right, I'm sorry, guys. Not as good of a preview as I was thinking. Have a good time at Ponce. We'll see you tomorrow or Wednesday.
Like, what the lead art designer's favorite childhood memory is. Nothing. Literally nothing. I don't care if it's about line of sight. Do not even tell me what that last comment was about. You've been thoroughly warned, so there are no possible excuses at all. I don't trust your attitude. Bye. Have fun elsewhere. I can tell right now you're going to be problems. You're just one of those people. I've been doing this long enough. You're a bad seed.